guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Mika Gam and welcome to the next installment of After Dark. I realize it's not dark, but that's the name of the series. This is meant to be like water cooler conversations that are not necessarily luxury related, but I think that they'd be interesting and fun. And it's Vlogmas, so it's something a little bit different for the channel. Okay, so today we're talking about what to do when friendships end. So today I have 5 tips of what to do when friendships end. Friendship breakups are really, really stressful. It doesn't matter how old you are. Most of you who watch me, you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. I don't care what part of life you're in. Friendship breakups are hard, they're stressful. But I have 5 tips on how to make them easier to handle. So without further ado, here we go. The first thing is, and this has really, really helped me, mourn the end of the friendship. It's okay to miss the person. It's okay to be like, you know what, I really miss this person. No one is that strong that they don't need people. You're not Robinson Crusoe. Everyone needs people, and it's okay to love people and to want to have people in your life and to have social lives. You know, the people who pride themselves on not being friends with anyone, I don't believe anyone who like that. I don't believe the people who say they don't need friends, they don't need people. We all do. Human beings thrive off interaction with other people. Mourn the end of the friendship and take some time to debrief what happened. So debrief, why did the friendship end? Was it your fault? Was it the other person's fault? For the sake of this video, I'm going to say her, like female friendships, but if you're a man watching, include yourself, please. Whose fault was it? Or was it no one's fault? Maybe you just drifted apart. Sometimes friendships end because people drift apart and people want different things. Mourn the end of the friendship. That can take form in many different ways. Some people like to think about it. Some people like to distract themselves. Whichever way works for you, you can say, look, I miss that person. And definitely with female friendships, it can feel like a death. It can feel like someone has died and that, you know, you really miss that person. And it really does feel mournful and it can really, really feel painful. Now, the next tip that I have is a little bit on the other side. If the friendship has ended and you don't want to rekindle the friendship, ask yourself, were you happy with your behavior in the friendship ending? And do you think that your behavior was sufficient and satisfactory? Sometimes when friendships end, they end because people want different things. So you might want something different, your friend might want something else. And it's okay to say, you know what, I'm actually okay with this person not being in my life. I think friendships have to benefit everyone who's in the friendship. If I'm not being benefited by being someone's friend, then what really am I getting from it? Because it's a voluntary partnership of 2 like-minded people in a friendship kind of way. So if I'm not benefiting from being your friend, you're not benefiting from being my friend. Why are we friends? If you're okay with the friendship ending, ask yourself why you're okay with the ending. Is it because you're not getting what you want or you need from the friendship? Or is it because you think the friendship has run its course? The third tip that I have is if a friendship is ending or not going well, take some ownership if you have done wrong. I can think of something that happened last year with a friend of mine who was going through a tough time in her marriage. She knows I'm going to talk about this because I did let her know. But she was going through a tough time in her marriage. And I feel like I was so wrapped up in my life. I was so wrapped up with my, 5,000 jobs and my businesses and my brands and building my company and running around, traveling. And I was so wrapped up in my home life, going on trips and my YouTube channel and my businesses and so on and so forth. I didn't realize that she was suffering and going through a really tough time and she needed me and I wasn't there. That didn't make me feel good. And then when I realized that something was wrong, I reached out to her hey, I feel like things are getting kind of weird between us. I feel like things are weird. I had noticed on her Instagram, she wasn't wearing her engagement ring. You know what that means. And I was very concerned, but I was actually really upset that it took me so long to realize that something was wrong. And then she told me the things that were going on in her life. But critically, she told me that she'd been trying to speak to me, but I was too busy, with my trips, my YouTube channel, my businesses, and my life to realize that she needed me. It really hurt to hear that, but it was good that someone told me the truth, hey, you weren't a good friend. And that hurt me because I've always prided myself on being a good friend, but it was a great learning lesson for me that while I'm not a mind reader, and she acknowledges that, and I did say that sometimes people do have cries for help, and you as a friend should be able to pick up on some of those things. We patched things up. We're in a great place today, and she's doing fantastic and she's doing great. And when I told her I wanted to share this story, she thought it was a really good idea, because she was like, sometimes wires can get crossed and sometimes it can be miscommunications, but sometimes, yeah, maybe you are just wrapped up in your life and you don't realize that people need you and someone's reaching out for help and you're not there. So take ownership when you're wrong. I prefer ownership over the word accountability. Ownership to me sounds more finite, and it really sounds like you're really saying, hey, I was sorry here, and apologize if you believe you're wrong and if you're ready to take ownership for it. And a real apology, not I'm sorry I hurt your I'm sorry that you think I hurt your feelings. That's not a real apology. A real apology, which in my case was, hey, I'm really sorry that I wasn't there for you when you needed me and when you were clearly in pain and you needed me to support you and I wasn't there. And I want to say, I'm sorry, can we start over on a new leaf? We did, we're in a great place today. But that was a great learning experience for me, and I learned a lot about taking ownership when you're wrong. If I think I'm wrong, I'm going to apologize. Okay, and I'm going to give it a real apology, not a fake, bull-s apology. That's not a real one, but a real one that acknowledges that you've hurt someone else, and not make it about me. Sometimes with apologies, people can try and make it about them, like, hey, I'm really sorry that I hurt your feelings, but also I had this and this and this, and I've been doing all these things, and I'm really busy and da da da. No, I didn't do that. I just said I was sorry because I wanted to save the friendship and I wanted to continue being her friend. So take ownership if your friendships are going through a tough time, because sometimes people want to see you being like, hey, you know what? I was wrong for that, and I need to say I'm sorry because I was wrong. The fourth thing to do is exert boundaries if you are someone who people are used to always being there. Now, on the flip side, I think I've always been someone who, hitherto very recently, maybe the past few years, people have always assumed that I'm always going to be there, I'm always going to do the things that they want to do. And over the past few years, I've really been exerting a lot of boundaries with certain friendships, and those friendships haven't lasted. Once I began to exert boundaries and kind of not necessarily stand up for myself, because I wouldn't say I'm a people pleaser. I'm definitely not a people pleaser, and I'm not a yes person, but I'm definitely someone who is now exerting boundaries. And I think when you begin to exert boundaries, that can be really, really hard for people to accept. It can be in a friendship, it can be in a family situation. Recently, there was a situation that kind of happened between me and someone else. And I think that this person was always used to me doing anything that this person wanted, or being the way that this person thinks I should be. But actually, I was exerting my boundaries on a disagreement that we had. This person had one opinion, I had another opinion. We're on two completely different sides. It doesn't look like we can get to a middle ground, and it doesn't look like things can be repaired right now. But I'm really going to stand my ground, because I don't think I did anything wrong, and I think I have to stand up at a certain point for my beliefs in terms of how we should treat people as friends. And I think for this other person, it was hard for the person to see me kind of exerting some boundaries. So don't feel bad for exerting boundaries. Boundaries is not the same though as cutting people off. That's like the thing younger glamazons, Gen Z glamazons, you always see TikToks and YouTube videos about cutting people off. To me, that sounds a little abrasive. It's a little, I don't know, it feels a little emotionally aggressive. It's a bit too aggressive for me. I don't think exerting boundaries is the same as cutting people off. Exerting boundaries is, hey, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore, okay? I don't want to, have our friendship be like this anymore. I want things to be like this, and I'd like you to respect that. Having boundaries is not a bad thing. And if you're someone who has boundaries and people can't accept that you have boundaries now, then it's okay. You're going to have to take a step back. Ever since I started putting up my boundaries, that's when I realized who was my friend and who wasn't my friend. The friends who have stuck around and who are respecting that, hey, there's certain things I'm not going to be doing anymore. There are other things I will be continue to do. We're having a great time. But the people who want me to be exactly who I was 6 years ago, they're struggling, because I'm not that same person that I was when I was 32. I'm 38 now. I'm a different person. The fifth thing I would say that has helped me, and I think can help you if a friendship ends, is understand that some friendships aren't meant to last, and that's okay. I'm not someone who obsesses over how long I've known someone. I don't think just because you've been friends with someone since you were at university or since you were a teenager, that necessarily means that your quality of friendship is better than someone who you met 5 or 6 years ago. I think sometimes in the social media culture we live in, people are really obsessed with this idea of, I've been friends with this person for 10 years or for 20 years. For me, it's the quality of the friendship. Are we good friends to each other? Are you a good friend to me? Am I a good friend to you? Sometimes the people who you've known for the longest are the ones who can really take advantage of you because perhaps they know your secrets or they are comparing you to how you've always, been. I remember a few years ago when he proposed to me and asked me to marry him. I remember it was in Johannesburg. I was so excited. There was this one person who I thought she was my friend. I thought we were in a great place. We were always hanging out here and everything seemed fine to me. The moment, I told her like, oh my God, I'm engaged, it was like literally the sun turning into the moon, and it was like a completely different person. It was like the Clark Kent and Lex Luthor Big HSA transformation. And I after many years of just kind of, realizing kind of what happened between us, she didn't think he was going to marry me. So she was perfectly happy being my friend as long as I was the unmarried friend who has a boyfriend whose boyfriend's not proposing. But the moment he proposed to me, then obviously going to be married, and at the time, she wasn't married. Then it became a problem. So upon realizing this, I can't give up my man, honey, in order to be your friend. I like him. I love him. I want to be with him. I want to stay married to him, honey. I like this man. So I can't give up my marriage to make you happy and to make you feel a certain way. Whichever issues you have, that doesn't have anything to do with me being engaged. So that friendship withered away like a rose that was not tended to in the garden, because she wasn't happy that he proposed to me and that he wanted to be with me. So sometimes some friendships are just there for a season, and that's okay. You learn from that friendship and then you build for future ones that you have. I don't want to be friends with anyone who isn't happy for me that I'm with the love of my life. He's the love of my life. I was really excited when he proposed to me. It was such a romantic proposal. But if you're not happy for me, and she didn't come to my wedding, I invited her. There was a lot of stuff that had happened. But if you're not happy for me, there's nothing I can do about it. That means that we are not compatible as friends anymore. Friendships are also about compatibility. And I have a little PSA to those of you who are the people-pleasing friends. Every friendship group has someone who's a people pleaser or who's a yes person and wants to make everyone happy. You're just hurting yourself. You're just hurting yourself. Stop people pleasing right now. If you're watching this and you're the people pleasing friend, stop people pleasing. People are selfish. No one cares about you the way you think people care. The moment you think people care about you the way you think they care, that's when you'll get the rude awakening. Put yourself first in friendships. Put yourself first in, relationships or whatever. Make sure that you're prioritizing yourself, because people don't care as much as you think that they care. So I'd love to know what you think about this video, something a little bit different, the After Dark series. I'd love if you guys would suggest topics for After Dark. I'm just kind of trying new things for Vlogmas. So yeah, let me know if you like this video. Like, comment, share, and subscribe if you like me, obviously. And let's talk about it in the comments. I can't wait to hear you guys' experiences and your comments on my thoughts. Friendships have to work for everyone, guys. It has to be a two-way street. If you're the friend who's always doing everything for everyone, you're always there for everyone, you're always doing everything, but no one's doing anything for you, you're not benefiting from the friendship as much as you think. And the word friend is thrown around very easily. I don't have many friends. The friends who I do have who stuck around now, I know that they're my real friends. Okay? So I really hope you've liked this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Sign up for the newsletter. You're missing out if you haven't signed up. And I'll see you very soon in my next video.